Here's our last example. This time it's going to be 3 graphs, natural log of x, 1 minus x, and y equals 1, which I already have graphed. Now before we start setting up the integral, I want you to notice something. Since to find the area, if I want to do it with respect to x, we have to do top function minus bottom function. And if I do that, notice that on this side we have y equals 1 on top, and on the bottom we have 1 minus x. But as we go past 1, now we have on top y equals 1, and on the bottom we have natural log of x. What that means is that we have to break this up, this region, into two integrals, and we don't want to do that. It'll be much easier if I do it with respect to y and I go from right to left, because it's always the same two functions. The one farthest to the right is natural log of x, and the one farthest to the left is 1 minus x. So instead of that, I'm going to do this with respect to y. So what that means is that I need to solve for x. So let's do that first. If I solve for x, this one means that I'm going to have x equals 1 minus x. And this one is x equals e to the y. We did these in class, so you should know how to do those. Let me shade the region, which is this one. And we're going to go from right to left, sorry. So it'll be right minus left, right minus left. And the limits of integration are going to be our y values. So we're going to go from 0 to 1. Let's set up our integral. So area equals the integral from 0 to 1. And the function that is farthest to the right is e to the y. So it's e to the y minus the function that is furthest to the left, which is 1 minus y, but I have to put parentheses around it, with respect to y. Let's simplify it a little bit. So the integral from 0 to 1, e to the y. When I distribute that negative, I'm going to end up with a positive y and a negative 1 dy. So now we can integrate. This will be much easier. So our antiderivative of e to the y is e to the y. The antiderivative of y will be y squared over 2. And the antiderivative of 1 with respect to y is minus y. And I will evaluate it from 0 to 1. Let's plug it in. So we have e to the first power plus 1/2 minus 1, close parentheses, minus, open parentheses, e to the 0 plus, if I plug in a 0 into y squared over 2, that's going to give me 0, and then minus 0. So in reality, this is what we have. Let's see. We have e minus 1/2 minus 1, e to the 0 is 1. And if I combine these two, negative 1/2 and a negative 1, that gives me negative 3/2. So my final answer is e minus 3/2. Way easier to do.